Welcome everyone, I'm Bernsey. This is LFC Bernsey, where we talk about soccer slash football slash Liverpool slash world football. However you want to look at it. We just talk about all that stuff. I called it LFC Bernsey because I am a Liverpool supporter and have been since 2007, I believe. But it's been a really long time. Today is the first day of the Premier League season. I'm excited to see the teams play again. Obviously, to watch Liverpool again. But I'm nervous as well because Liverpool made no signings as of yet. And we desperately needed some. And I say desperately. I guess it's not desperately, but we definitely needed some. Another CDM. I loved Endo. I thought Endo did great, but you could definitely see the pace difference. He did grow into the game a lot, but I'm not sure with some of the teams how much they are going to try to exploit that pace difference. And I don't want to see Maka there again. I don't want to see Maka as a CDM. Like, that's crazy. We lose so much of attack and vision and leadership and everything when you move Maka back to a CDM. So we also did not get another center back, but we lost Matip, which isn't horrible because Matip was pretty injury prone. I did love Matip. The bombing runs that he would make forward, oh my god, that was the greatest thing ever. But we do need another center back. Konate also fairly injury prone. I mean, he's younger, but fairly injury prone. And we do have Kwanzaa, and I love Kwanzaa as well. I think Kwanzaa can learn a ton from Virgil, but another center back would have been ideal, just in case. I mean, God forbid something happens to any of them.
You forgot Joe Gomez.
We're left.
Say
with,
Joe Gomez. Say Joe Gomez.
Academy. It's academy time once again, which we've already been down that road, and we got really lucky. Honestly, we got really lucky with that. So, and last, we didn't get another right back. I would have loved to get another right back and explored Trent in the mid. I think Euros, he did great. He was the scapegoat for England for whatever reason, but I think he did really good. If you look at his actual statistics with passes completed and things like that, he did really well. Also came on, didn't touch the ball, and scored a ridiculous pen. So, whatever. I digress, but it would have been nice to see him in the midfield. But we didn't get a right back. We didn't get anybody. We have Connor Bradley, who I love Connor Bradley as right back, an actual right back in my opinion. Trent is a very hybrid role that Klopp liked a lot and used a lot. But Connor is like an actual right back, and I think that that's very much needed. But that left us limited because if something happens to him or if something happens to Trent, you know what I mean? There's the depth. Liverpool has notoriously, for years and years and years, had almost nothing on depth, especially if you compare them to other Premier League teams or other European teams. Just almost no depth, which is ridiculous. I am very concerned that we are going to see just how masterful Klopp was with what he did with what he had, right? We'll see, though. I'm still chins up. I still think top 4 is extremely doable, but it is going to be a rough season, I feel like. And it only makes sense, right? You get rid of a manager like Klopp, what are you going to do? The transition period will be rocky and difficult, more than likely. If not, I mean, worst case scenario, or, best case scenario, it's not. Worst case scenario, it is. That's fairly normal. So, yeah, what are you going to do? Now, moving on from that, we now have Slot. I like Slot. Seems like a good dude. Seems like he has good chemistry with the players, which is super important. especially because, we just had Klopp who managed players like no one else that I've ever seen. Having Slot in there seems to be a really good choice. What do I think Slot will do, though, with the team, with no signing, so coming in, taking over what Klopp left? I think it's going to be difficult. I'm very curious to see. I know the question was asked about the 4-2-3-1 from Feyenoord, and I don't. And the response was, well, it's not a 4-2-3-1, it's a 4-3-3, and basically just the pieces move differently, which is fine. I call it whatever you want. I honestly don't care. I think a lot of the stuff gets stuck in the positioning thing. A lot of info gets stuck in that, and a lot of players get stuck in that, and I don't really care for it. If you want to have the three roaming and they understand what to do, that's totally fine with me. One thing that does concern me is Szoboszlai, and it's not him that concerns me at all. I'm a huge Szoboszlai fan. I think that he does fantastic, and when he's on, man, he's basically unstoppable. My issue that I have is that type of box-to-box midfielder, with the amount of games they play, it's very hard to maintain that level. And two, if something does happen, who replaces him? Because, I don't know who you can put there, right? Gravenberch, I guess, but it's not going to be the same. The pace isn't there. The skill isn't there. The vision isn't there. And so, the only other person who kind of fits the role, in my opinion, in essentially the starting 11 is McAllister, right? But like Maka can't. He doesn't play the same. Like that's not the same thing. So that is a bit nerve-wracking, and I am curious. Obviously, we don't know everything going on behind the scenes, so we don't know who is doing what, who's playing where, who's coming up from the academy, because they're definitely going to have to bring people up because there's no real depth, right? So what are we going to do there? The other big issue I could see is attackers, right? So we saw during the summer with Euros what Gakpo can do if you put Gakpo as a 9, right? We saw him almost all year with Klopp as a wing, as a center mid, but we rarely saw him as a 9. And he was actually starting to fit into that left wing role a bit. But your problem is that you have Jota, Nunez, Gakpo, all of those are 9s, right? Then we have Salah and Diaz, and so there's your wings. But so now you're trying to fit other people into those roles, and I just find it really interesting. I'm really, really curious to see how that is managed and how Slot can get the best out of those people in those positions, right? So coming into it, he saw what we saw with Gakpo, went crazy in the Euros, didn't do amazingly well in the season, and he had an on game, but didn't do amazingly well, right? So I'm very curious to see what happens there. I am excited about the attack. It reminds me a lot of the three, right? Firmino, Salah, and Mane. Not to say that everybody plays like that, like at all, by the way. But it reminds me of that. Obviously, like Salah plays Salah. But the problem is that Salah plays Salah's game, and so you have to play to that. Now, will Slot do that? I have no idea. I'm very, very curious to see how he manages the Darwin situation, how he manages Gakpo now after seeing him in the summer, and how he manages Jota. Because if he stays healthy, right, he is a goal scorer. We know that. If he stays healthy, he is going to be very hard to replace up top. But then you have Darwin, who has the special set of skills, right? And you have Gakpo, who also has a special set of skills. So it's very interesting and hopefully really helps us, because if he can use those tactically without stirring the pot and making players feel certain ways, then we could have a perfect storm with that. But it could also go south really fast, so we'll see. Right, so now let's look forward to the game. Ipswich, early game. We know Klopp hated early games. I don't know that he would care as much on this one, because, long break and all. But I'm not sure how Slot feels about it. I don't know if he even cares, to be honest with you. I don't think I ever really thought about it too much until Klopp was, talking about it all the time. And then I noticed and was like, oh man, that is true. Like, that does pretty much suck. Ipswich will be an interesting game to watch. Slot's first game in the league. Newly promoted team who's going to be on that high, playing away, so we don't get Anfield. I think it'll be a really interesting game. I think we'll get to see a lot of Slot's tactics and thought process in this game. But I'm also not sure what to expect from Ipswich. So I'm really just excited to see something new. I loved Klopp to death, but it will be interesting to see and exciting to see something new, right? Just to see where that goes. And it almost makes me wonder if the club wanted to also see this before they bought anyone, or maybe that's just a pipe dream. I don't know. Because, maybe we'll get a signing, maybe we won't. I don't know. I do think Liverpool will win the game. I'm not good at scoring it, but I'll throw it out there just for YouTube, because why not? I'm going to say 2-1 Liverpool. Pretty boring score, right? 2-1. Good old 2-1. Never fails. No. 2-1 Liverpool. The other scores I could see would be a 1-0 Ipswich or an absolute thrashing by Liverpool. So I take 2-1 Liverpool, but I could see a 1-0 happening randomly, just based on the circumstances. And I could also see just a complete domination by Liverpool. It's very hard to think in those three areas, but that is legitimately how my brain works. And after being a Liverpool fan for as long as I have been, yeah. I feel like all three of those are legitimate answers. That's all. I hope you liked my first video here. I plan to do a lot more. I'm very passionate about Liverpool. I know it's really hard to tell. One of my other passions is also anime. And I do anime social media posting. So I wanted to talk more about Liverpool because it's another really big passion of mine. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment down below if you would like to hear maybe, I don't know, my Liverpool origin story, we'll say. And maybe I'll drop that one on the next one. All right? Peace. You'll never walk alone, boys. Come on, you can do it. Let's go!